And it's Chelsea we're going to talk now, Rory, finishing 6th in the Premier League. They ended their season with 5 straight defeats. So my question to you right now, Rory Jennings, have you changed your opinion of Mauricio Pochettino?
No, I haven't changed my opinion of him because I'm a man of honour and principle. So it takes
Stubborn, you mean?
It takes more than a few results to make me change my perception of the man altogether. I don't really like Mauricio Pochettino. I don't really want Mauricio Pochettino in charge at Chelsea, but I do have to concede that at times we've played some brilliant football under him. I do have to concede that we finished in the European spots, which is certainly enough for him to keep his job. Like I said a long time ago, if we make it into Europe, he can keep his job. And we have made it into Europe. In the end, we've made it into Europe fairly easily. You know, we got there. We got there probably with a game to spare. I felt very confident going into the final game that Chelsea would end up in Europe. And for that, he deserves some credit. Yeah. I also think it's important, though, to take the season as a whole, rather than focusing on the form of late. The 5-0 victory against West Ham, beating Tottenham, 2 consecutive London derbies is always going to have an impact on the feeling around the club. We've had some shockers this season. Yeah. You know, we really have. And I would also say that our worst ever Premier League performance happened this season under Mauricio Pochettino. He should have been sacked at Arsenal at half-time. So the fact that he's still in the job now, fine. He has done very well of late. But it should have been over. It should have been over when Kai Havertz is doing that funny little celebration against us as they score 5.
Is there an argument, though, that there's a lot of players, a lot of turnaround at the football club? He's come in at a time where previous managers have not done particularly well either, that they had to gel first. And now we're seeing that. We're seeing the team gel at the back end of this season. Yes, there's been some shockers, you're absolutely right. But now we're starting to see it. Could he take this form into next season?
Yeah, potentially. I think he's got quite lucky. You know, a lot of the errors that were made, a lot of the reasons why we were getting battered every week was because of his decisions. His persistence at playing Levi Colwill left back, for example, was a shocker. Shocking decision made by him. His persistence playing Axel Disasi at centre half, a player who's clearly not good enough to play in the Premier League. Like he's a woeful defender, like really, really bad, cumbersome, foolish, positionally unaware, like not a good defender. Played him all the time. You know, you've got Trevor Chalobah watching Disasi play. At times, you've got Thiago Silva watching Disasi play. That's poor management, poor team selection. And the other reason why I think it's gone so well, sometimes, Darren, I think football can be a really complex sport, and we can buy into the complexity. We start talking about heat maps and XG, and we make it about sums and equations. Other times, it's about picking the best players. He would pick Enzo Fernandez every single week. Enzo Fernandez is suddenly unavailable. Chelsea never lost since Enzo Fernandez went off injured in the Arsenal 5-0. Didn't play for the rest of the season. Chelsea didn't get beat for the rest of the season. That's not good management. No. That's just it falling your way. Caicedo and Gallagher play really well together. The structure of the club is so poor that we can spend £250 million on 2 players who cannot play together. So we've spent £250 million on Fernandez and Caicedo. They don't complement one another. Caicedo is a brilliant player. Not when he's next to Enzo Fernandez, who slows everything down. He's so slow in his whole demeanour. Everything is so cumbersome. Conor Gallagher and Caicedo play really well together. Bringing in Madueke in place of Enzo and changing the shape a bit has really worked well. Cole Palmer is silk. Yes. He's one of the best players I've ever seen.
He's lucky, really, isn't he, that Cole Palmer's been on the form that he has at the start of the season. When it was going bad, Cole Palmer was winning points, and that kind of got them to where they are now.
There was a point in the season where if you took Cole Palmer's goals and assists out of Chelsea are in the relegation zone. Like, that isn't... I suppose you could argue that it's very good management to get him playing that well. But I think Cole Palmer is just a genius. Regardless of the manager. It's, you know, you're not a genius to manage Cristiano Ronaldo in 2010, are you?
If I look at it from a support of someone else, of course, a supporter that Mauricio Pochettino done well at Tottenham, I see there's not that connection with the supporters and him as he's had that he had with Spurs. And the fact he didn't address the supporters yesterday, said he didn't have time, he had to get to his press conference.
Huge.
How's that gone down?
He's very unpopular. He's very unpopular. He doesn't like us. I think it's fair to say. I think Mauricio Pochettino is a true professional. I think he'll do his job. But I don't think he has an affinity with the club. I think he's a Tottenham man. I think he likes Tottenham. He loves Tottenham. You also got to remember that probably the worst ever experience he's had in his life, as in a professional context, both as a player and as a manager. Probably happened in the away dressing room at Stamford Bridge when he was crying.
Yep.
You know, him and Danny Rose consoling one another, both in tears.
Yep.
That's where he belongs in my eyes. He doesn't belong in a home dugout.
I think he'll stay. I think he'll be there next season. I think more because you said earlier that it's not a good time to be looking for a manager. Look, if Man United win the FA Cup, Chelsea drop to the Europa Conference. If obviously Manchester City win it, they stay in the Europa League. How do you feel about those competitions? I've worked with you a lot to know what the answer is going to be, but I want you to tell me, Europa Conference, is that a small competition you don't want to be in?
I would never not want to be in European football. I would never not want to play in European football. And do you know what, Darren? There's a reason that won't mean a lot to many people, but it does mean a lot to me, why I would like the conference. Chelsea have never won it. And we are a club, until very recently, there was only 3 of us. Manchester United, you know when Manchester United won they went to Sweden and they won. They beat Ajax when Paul Pogba scored.
Yeah.
That brought Manchester United into the club.
Yeah.
But there are only 4 clubs, including Manchester United now, that have won a lot of the European trophies. And it's Ajax, Juventus, Chelsea, Manchester United. Now, none of those clubs have, because there's a new competition that's been created. I would love Chelsea to be the first one of those. So I would never sneer at European silverware. I would never sneer at European entry.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I think you also have to always think of the lifeblood of any football club, which is the devoted match-going fan. The fellas and girls that go week in, week out, that are going to follow Chelsea in Europe, they're going to have a great time going to Bodo Glimt and wherever else, aren't they?
Yeah.
So I think it's good for the club to be in Europe. I would much rather, obviously, that it's a Europa League.
If it's Europa League,
I
if
love
it's
the Europa League
Conference.
The Europa League's a dream.
Given the turmoil off the field and the change of recruitment at Chelsea, surely this is a success. This is a successful season for Chelsea, finishing 6th.
No, I think it's difficult, isn't it? Okay, you are correct. It is a successful season if you look merely at the final table. But it has not been a good season. It has been a painful season. It has been a pitiful season. It has been a season that I've been wishing away since November. It's been a season that's seen us lose at home to Nottingham Forest. It's been a season where we've seen Joe Worrell of Forest be man of the match at Stamford Bridge. It's a season where we've lost at home to Brentford. It's a season where we've had our worst ever performance in the Premier League, which is a 5-0 drubbing by Arsenal. Watching Kai Havertz score against us and do that weird, pathetic little celebration of his. The final league table is favourable. But the season has been one of the worst following the club that I've ever had.
Okay, next season. What can they achieve next season?
Top 4.
Top 4?
Top 4.
Any better than that?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you can dream.
If they gel, can they not have a go at...
Yeah, why not? Today I can be more rational. What will happen is... Do you know what my favourite time of year is? I don't know if... I imagine you're the same, especially as you've actually lived life as a footballer. My mum will tell you that the year runs sort of January to December, whereas I feel like we're conditioned to believe that the year runs August to May.
Yep.
So there'll be an amazing time around late July where I'll be able to dream and anything's possible. You know, that period of time where you can just... And in that moment, 20th of July, around about my birthday, I'll be telling you Chelsea can win the league because it's a lovely time and anything is possible. But today I can be more realistic, right?
Top 4.
Top 4.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.